So we of course finished this lesson, the one about the past simple. We talked about the differences, and after we talked about the past simple, we talked about using the past continuous with the past simple together, right? And the lesson was about relationships, of course, and we saw 2 or 3 different stories. One of them was about Helen and Simon. The other story was about Ray and Claire, and of course, Linda and Colin, who met on the plane. So we talked about using the using the past simple and past continuous together. The idea, of course, is you should use the past simple for the shorter action, and the past continuous is for the longer action. And of course, if you want to talk about the order of actions or the order of events, we agreed that the past continuous starts first and the past simple is in the middle. So like this example, for example, let me just put it in a box for you to see. So can you see this one? I was traveling back from China. Wa alaikum salam. Hi, Hannah. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah. And you?
I'm all right, thanks. So this example, I was traveling back from China and we met on the plane. Of course, I was traveling back from China. This started before they met, right? So the first event or the first action is traveling. In the middle, they met on the plane, and after that, they continued traveling. All right. So this means the first action is traveling, and it's the longer action, and met is the shorter action. It's in the middle of the longer action. All right. So this is the general idea of how to use the past simple with the past continuous. Okay. And after that, we talked about some vocabulary which we use to talk about relationships. So we talked about that. We talked about what it means to get engaged to someone. I think this was the only maybe new one, to get engaged, but the rest of the words were clear. So we talked about that. And we also listened to the interesting story of Claire and Ray. Remember, we did it in the listening. So we talked about it and how they met and everything. So we did that as well. So today we're going to continue here. We'll talk a little bit about pronunciation, about listening. There are 2 different ways of pronouncing was and were, okay? One of them is the weak form and the other one is the strong form. So here I'm just going to play it right away, and I want you to listen to the 2 different ways of saying was and were. You'll notice that we have 2 different ways and they're different. So let me play the CD for you to get rid of you. Okay, so let me go to the CD. So we want CD1, track 19. So here it is, CD1, track 19.
Was, were.
Okay, let me repeat it again for you. So they're going to start with the strong, then weak, strong, then weak, okay? So let's listen again.
Track 19.
Was,
Was.
were,
Yeah? do you see the difference? So usually when we say was and were, when we say it completely like this is a strong form. Do you get the idea? It's not the weak form. Sorry? Abdullah? Okay, thought you wanted to ask something. So here, this is the difference between the pronunciation of the strong and of the weak form. I'm going to take you here to the listening track on page 154. I want you to listen again to Claire's story, but this time I want you to pay attention to how they say was and were. Sometimes they use the strong form, sometimes they use the weak form. I want you to try to find which ones are the weak form and which ones are the strong form, okay? So let me take you there. Now let's listen to Claire and Ray. So Claire and Ray's conversation. Okay. All right. Okay, can you see? Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Can you see the bottom left? Here, track 18, can you see this? Let me put it here it is.
Yes.
All right, good. So you can see here that it says pink is weak form and blue is the strong form, okay? So it means if you find was in pink, was and were in pink, this means this is the weak form. But if you find it in blue, it's the strong form. Do you get the idea?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me start the conversation again, and let's listen and follow.
How did you meet your wife, Ray?
We first met when she was renting a room in my sister's flat in Brighton.
Was it love at first sight?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Well, for me, anyway.
So, what happened?
Well, Claire wanted to improve her English, so she was working in the shop at the museum for the summer. But she said she wasn't practicing her English because most of the people who came to the museum were tourists. So I said, look, I want to practice my French. So let's meet for half an hour every day. We can have 15 minutes speaking French and 15 minutes speaking English.
Right.
So we had lunch in the park near the museum every day and just talked to each other in English and French.
Did you ask her out?
No, I was too shy.
So what happened?
Well, 3 weeks later, her summer job finished, and it was time for her to go back to Paris. I went to the airport with her, and while we were waiting for her flight, I gave her a present. It was an English dictionary. She laughed, and I suddenly thought, what if I never see her again? I felt really sad.
And was she sad too?
Yes, she was. She was crying when we said goodbye. Anyway, she gave me her address and asked me to visit her sometime.
So what did you do?
Well, I went straight home, packed a bag, got my passport, and I took a train to Paris.
Not the same day?
Yes, the same day. And her plane was delayed, so I got to Paris first. When she arrived home, I was waiting by the door to her flat.
Were you nervous?
Yes, I was. But I was also in love. And a year later, we got married.
Very romantic. Was the wedding in Paris?
Yes, it was.
And were both your families there?
Yes, they were. It was a great day.
Okay, so my first question is, which one did they use more? The pink, the weak, or the blue, the strong? Which one did they use more?
Weak.
Pink.
Yeah, the pink, the weak form, right? So this means, the weak form. This means in reality, in most conversations, they use the weak form more.
Yes.
So now my second question is, let's find when did they use the weak form and when did they use the strong form, okay? So let's start here from the beginning. So we can see here the first was. So this is was. Was it first? Was it love at first sight? Was it?
And the stress.
First of the question.
So it's in the beginning of the question, right?
Yes.
And the stress of
And
sentence.
in the sentences.
Okay, so we use the weak form, yeah. So we use it in the question, and but here look at the answer. What did they use in the answer?
Yes, it
Strong.
was.
Yes, it
Strong.
was. So it's a strong form, right?
Yes.
So this means if you use it in the question, it's the weak form was. But if you use it in
But
the
in the
answer,
answers,
it's the strong form
Strong,
was.
yeah.
Yes, it was. Okay, let's check our next one. So this is our next one. Can you see it? So she was working. What's this?
at the middle of sentence.
Yeah, in the middle. So this is actually a positive sentence, right? This is a positive
Yes.
sentence. It's not negative. It's positive. So she was working. So we also use the weak form. Again, here, if you check this, most of the people who came to the museum were tourists. It's another positive sentence. There's no negative here, right? Take a look at this. No, I was too shy. This is also a positive sentence because it doesn't have wasn't. Of course, we have no, but the sentence itself, it's still positive. I was too shy. He didn't say I wasn't. He said I was too shy. All right, so it's also a weak form. So let's continue. Let's see. Until now, the only strong form is when we use it in a yes/no question, the answer, right? So if the answer is positive, if the answer is yes, it was, this is the only situation where we have a strong form now. Okay, any other examples? It was time for her, positive sentence. While we were waiting, another positive sentence, right? It was an English dictionary, again, positive sentence, right? Okay, so we have another strong form. Can you see it? Was she sad too? Yes, she was. Can you see this strong form? Why did we use the strong form
Yes.
here?
Because yes.
Answer.
It's an answer
The
because
answer of yes, no question.
it's an answer to a yes/no question. Can you see this question? Was she sad too? Was she sad too? This is the question. And the answer is yes, she was. Yes, she was. The same thing here, it's repeated. Can you see this? Were you nervous? Were you nervous? Yes, I was. Again, strong form. But when he continues again, when Ray continues talking, he changes back to the weak form, right? But I was also in love. I was also in love. Very romantic was the wedding in Paris. So it's another yes/no question. Yes, it was. Yes, they were. Okay, so what do you notice now? When do we use, let me take you back to the question. So when do we use the strong form and when do we use the weak form of was and where? So this was the question. Let's go back and answer it. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Okay, so the lesson before this, I just lost the page. Is my voice clear? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so the question was, this is the question. So let's answer this question, part B. Look at the audio script, listen again. Okay. So the first question, it says, are, was, and were usually strong or weak in sentences, questions, and short answers. So in sentences, was and were they weak or strong in sentences?
Weak.
Short answer.
Weak, yeah, so they were
Yes.
weak. What about in questions? Were they strong or weak?
Weak.
Weak. Weak.
Also, correct. And in short answers?
Strong. Strong.
Strong.
Correct. This is the general idea. So this means statistically, if you're listening to a native British person, for example, speaking, this means they will use was a lot more than was, and they will use were a lot more than were. Do you get the idea? So this is like programming your ear. Don't expect to listen to was all the time. Maybe you will hear was. Do you get the idea? The same thing with were. So don't wait for were. Maybe you'll hear were. هذه الفكرة يعني. نوع من البرمجة، ما تخلوش توقعاتكم مرات تستنى في كلمة وتجيك كلمة تانية. So the idea it's a bit different. The weak and the strong form, they're not pronounced exactly the same. All right, so now we know the difference and we know how to use them, so we can move on. So here we're going to talk a little bit about how to make questions with the past continuous. Of course, in the previous lesson, we talked about positive and negative, remember? So in positive, we can say, for example, I was eating, she was eating, it was eating, he was eating, right? And with you, we, they, we can say you were eating, we were eating, they were eating, for example. This is the positive. And if it's negative, we just add not. I wasn't eating, I wasn't studying, he wasn't playing, she wasn't driving, or the same thing with you and you, we, they. So you can say we weren't playing, they weren't listening, and so on. So we covered the positive and the sentence, the positive and the negative in our last lesson. In today's lesson, we're going to talk a little bit about the questions. So how do we make a question using the past continuous? What do you think? How do you make a question? So they want us actually to look at questions number 4 and 5. And here they are. Can you see number 4 and 5? Where is it? Yeah, here. Yes, 4 and 5. So let me put a little box around them so everybody can see them. So take a look at this question. Can you see these two questions? What do we use? What do we use to,
Yes.
what do we use to make a question using past continuous? What are the parts? Who can tell me? What's the first thing we use?
Question word.
Question word
Right.
was or were.
Plus
Correct. Was or were. What's the next thing?
Subject pronoun.
A subject. A subject. After that,
Verb.
verb plus
ing.
That's it. That's
Gerund.
all. Yeah.
ing.
That's all you need, right? So you need a question
Yes.
word, you need was or were, you need the subject, and you need verb plus ing. It's gerund. I don't know if you can call it a gerund here, but yeah, it's a verb plus ing. So if we go back to the rule here, it says we make past continuous questions with, so we use question word plus what or what?
Was or were.
Right, exactly. So we use a question word and then we add was or were, was or were. We add, of course, the subject, and then we add, what do we use after the subject?
Verb.
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 Verb
Plus ing.
plus ing. All right. So this is just the form of past continuous. Yeah, this is how you can make a question. Okay. So let's take a quick look at the summary. Let's see if there's any information. Let's take a look. 19, 130, 19. Okay, let's check. So we have a few spelling rules. Let's take a look at the spelling rules here. Just a second. Okay. Okay. So we talked about this last time, how to use the past continuous. We talked about the past continuous usually starts first, then the past simple in the middle, and then they continue. We finished this. Now here we have a few spelling rules. Can you see these spelling rules in this box, in the table, I mean, here? So it says, with most verbs, we just add ing, right? So we say go, going, wait, waiting, no changing in spelling. But for example, if the verb has E, for example, like live, what do we do?
Move E and add ing.
Right. Or for example, write, we just remove the E and we put ing, right? Then we have verbs which end in consonant, vowel, consonant. So if we have consonant, vowel, consonant, like GET or TOP or VEL, just double the last letter, okay? So getting, stopping, shopping, traveling, all of these, we just double them. We also use the past continuous, it's working. Okay, so this is another way to use the past continuous even without a past simple. So this means you can say, I was working at 9:30. So if someone asks you, what were you doing? So you can say, I was working at 9:30. So you can also use it to talk about something in progress in the past. All right, so this is, I think, clear. And this is how we make questions. Question words, auxiliary, was or were, subject, verb plus ing. Okay, so I think it's clear. We can go back. Nothing new here. All right, so we talked about questions, how to make questions. So it says here, choose the married couple, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay, I think we can skip this because it's about the same thing they want you to talk about. I think it's clear. The idea is we still need to use the past continuous whenever you want to talk about two events in the past. If one of them is short and the other one is long, you can use while, for example. Let me give you two examples. So you can say, I was, okay, I'm going to give you this question. So I want you to tell me what to do, okay? So the first question.
I was walking in the park.
Okay. I have a better idea, so take a look at this. So.
I was walking in the park when I saw my brother.
Okay, this is a good one. Let's write this one. So I was, let me change the color. I was walking in the park when I saw my brother. Now, take a look at this question. And I want you to give me the answer. What's the right answer here? Let me ask someone. Abdullah, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, how can you answer this one? I want you to choose when to use the past continuous and when to use the past simple here in this example.
Okay. Okay. What was Andy play?
But it's not a question. It's not a question here, Abdullah. So here, what I want you to do in this sentence is I want you to complete the gaps.
Okay, playing. Michael and Andy playing.
Yeah. Okay.
Football and. and finding some money the floor.
Okay, take it a little slow. So Michael and Andy. So what's the rule we talked about? Let me show you the rule. Can you see the rule here? Here in this box below. Can you see here?
Yes.
Here. Can you see this?
Yes.
So how do we make a positive sentence? We use I, he, we, she. We is not with them, sorry. I, he, she, it, and we use was. Then we use verb plus ing or where.
ing.
Yeah. So this means Michael and Andy
Were
what?
Were playing.
Correct. Were playing. So were playing, is this the long action or is it the short action?
Were playing.
Long or short? What do you think?
Short.
Are you sure? What about the next action? Find.
No. Long. We're playing long.
Okay,
Question.
correct. It's the long action. So Michael and Andy were playing football when they
find.
What's the past? Past simple.
Find someone. Find it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Let's see someone else. Samiha, what's the past of find?
Found.
Found, Abdullah. So you need to use found.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, can you read it from the beginning again?
Michael and Andy were playing football when they found some money on the floor.
Okay. Okay, let's see someone else. Hannah, can you finish the story? Are you there, Hannah? Hannah is not there. Okay, let's see. Neyruz, can you hear us, Neyruz?
Yes.
All right, can you complete the story?
Yes. While they picked up the money, a policeman was asking them where they had found it.
Okay, kind of okay, but can you try it in another way? And pay attention to while.
Yes.
While do we use it for the longer action or the shorter action, Neyruz?
I think short acting.
Are you sure?
Short action.
Okay, I'll help you here. Take a look at the story of Simon and Emma. What was the answer here?
Long acting while.
Right, because in the story, Emma was talking. She said, while we were sitting on the bus, he gave me his business card, remember, from our last lesson?
Yes.
So this...
I thought before, I'll always, after a while, put the past simple, not...
No, it's the other way around. After when we put the past simple. After when. So,
yes. So here, while they were picking up the money, policeman asked them where they had found it.
Right, very nice. Let's write that. While they were picking up the money, a policeman asked them where they'd found it. Okay, so who can finish? I started the story, okay? Who can finish the story of Andy and Michael and the policeman? It's an imaginary story, but you can complete it. It has to be interesting, okay? Would you like to try, Nehru's? Or would you, let's see someone else. Nehru's already answered this one. Hannah, can you complete the story?
Okay. A police asked them where they had found it.
Mm-hmm. So what happens next?
They told, they was told, think we needed this money.
Okay. Let me help you a little so they can say okay, how can you finish this sentence?
Okay. When they were telling him they found it on the floor, he said they needed the money to pay a present for his wife.
Okay, correct. While they were telling him where they telling him where, I forgot where they found it, he said, that's right, telling, we're telling. Where they found it, he said he needed the money to buy a present for his wife. Okay, you get the idea. So this is how you can make a whole story, maybe not a whole story, but you can make some sentences easily, I think, using the past simple and the past continuous together. This is the idea. Okay, so I think enough of the past simple, past continuous. It's clear. We can move on. So in this lesson, we are going to talk about something very interesting, I think. We're going to talk about coincidences. Coincidences. So last time I asked you about a coincidence, but who can remind me again, what is a coincidence? What's a coincidence? Who can, in English, explain what is a coincidence? Samih, would you like to try? What's a coincidence, Samih?
I think when something happened to you, you will never thinking or
You mean something unexpected?
maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
something happened to you as a surprise, or you not as a surprise, but
Okay, that's kind of true. But usually with coincidences, is it just one thing that happened by surprise, or is it more than one thing at the same time?
maybe more than one thing.
Right?
I
Maybe
met
it's yes. Who's speaking? Hannah, is that you?
when I met somebody not من غير موعد. صادف أيضا.
Correct. This is another example. So, for example, you're buying maybe tomatoes or vegetables, and you meet somebody you were thinking of. Maybe you were thinking of your sister or your friend, and you're thinking of her and buying tomatoes, and then she comes by in a car. She passes by. تمر قدامكم مثلا. Do you get the idea?
Happened at the same time, yeah.
At the same time.
Maybe.
So yeah, so the definition of a coincidence, it means two things happening at the same time, strangely happening at the same time. You get the idea?
Yes.
Sometimes not at the same time, sometimes to the same person, or maybe in the same place. Do you get the idea? So there's always usually two things happening. That's or in two places or two different times. This is a coincidence.
And usually I think it's surprising or something
Correct.
unlikely, or
Exactly. It's usually unlikely, surprising, amusing, something like this. Okay, but before we read, because here in this story we have some very strange and very interesting coincidences, but we have a few words we want to cover first. Okay, so let's start with these words in the box. So we have the word sink. Can you see sink? Sink.
Yes.
Sink is, and the past is sank. I'm going to read them and then we'll talk about them. Then we have a survivor. We have drown. A restaurant owner. We have shoot. The past is shot. And we have an accident. Okay, so let me explain some of these words. So sink, this is what happens when you throw, for example, if you throw a stone in the water, what happens to the stone or the rock? What happens to it? It sinks. Down. It goes down to the bottom.
To the
right?
bottom, yes.
This is sinking. Yes. So if you throw a heavy object in the water, it sinks. It goes down. All right.
Yes.
So this is the meaning of sink. But if you throw an animal or a human being, and the human being or animal dies in the water, we don't say sink. We say drown. He drowned, or the cat drowned, for example. You get the idea? Yes. So drowning is dying from when water comes into your lungs and you can't breathe, you drown. All right? So there's a difference between drown and sink. Sink for objects, drown for living things, animals or people. You can say drown. Okay?
Okay.
And survivor usually, if someone lives after an accident or after a dangerous situation, you can say he's a survivor or she's a survivor. Let's say there's for example, a car accident with 4 people, okay? So 3 of them die, but there's one survivor. It means there's one person who didn't die.
One of them.
One of them. We call this person a survivor. So a survivor is a person who didn't die from the accident. Okay? I think restaurant owner, I think it's clear. Restaurant owner is clear. Shoot. This is very common in Libya, so everybody knows shoot.
Gunshot.
Yeah, a gunshot. Yeah. And then we have an accident. This is also common in Libya. We have lots of these. All right, so an accident, and an accident can be anything. It doesn't have to be a car accident. A car accident is an example of an accident. But accidents can happen every day, you know, you forget
Fall down.
Yeah, you fall down, falling down the stairs, this is an accident,
Yes.
right? So these are some of the words we're going to use in today's story or article. But first of all, let's start with this question. It says, read the article, then match coincidences 1, 2, 3 to pictures A to C. Let me show you the pictures first. Can you see the 3 pictures in the bottom, A, B, C? Can you see them?
Yes.
What can you see in the 3 pictures? Who can tell me? What can you see in picture A? What do you
A
see?
restaurant owner, I think.
Restaurant owner, maybe?
Maybe.
Okay. Rashid, what can you see in picture A?
Maybe King talking to his chef.
Yeah, on the left, it looks like a king, right? Because he has a crown. Can you see the crown on his head? So it looks like a king. And maybe this is the chef. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a restaurant, like Samiha said, because you can see tables, you can see drinking glasses, right? Okay. What about picture B? What can you see in picture B?
Survive.
A survivor, maybe?
What is sinking?
And yeah, the ship is sinking.
Ship, yes.
Right? And there's a survivor, someone who's still alive. Okay, and in photo C, what can you see in photo C here?
The baby drowned.
Someone is
And
drowning.
the mother, someone, I don't know if baby or not.
It looks like a baby, someone maybe young.
And I think mother, Danny, shouting or she needs help. She needs help.
Maybe she's also, I think she's also jumping in the water to save the baby, maybe, right?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, we have to read the article and then we can match, okay? So I'm going to give you some time. Start the article. It's called That's Incredible. This is the title of the article. That's incredible. Okay, so take some minutes. Start reading. When you finish number 2, don't worry, I'll move after some time, okay? You can start reading, all right?
I finished.
Mhm.
I finished.
Okay.
I finish.
All right. Everyone finished?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay. Which photos or pictures can you match to the coincidences? 1, 2, 3. A, B, C. What do you think?
C.
Number one, C.
1C.
Number 1C.
Okay.
Number
Correct.
2B.
Number 2.
Number 2B.
Mm-hmm.
3A.
Number
Number
3A.
3A.
All right. That's correct. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about these coincidences. Let's start with number 1. So the first question here, it says in exercise 2, first question, who nearly drowned in the sea in 1965? Who nearly drowned in the sea in 1965?
Roger
Roger.
Reason. Oh,
Yeah, the boy's name
the boy.
was
Yeah.
Roger
Roger.
Lausier, I think.
Laws. Mm.
Correct. Roger Lausier, yes. Mhm. Okay, and who saved him? Who saved Roger?
Alice.
Alice?
Alice.
Yeah, a
Blaze.
woman. Alice Blaze, yeah. She saved Roger, right? So the woman who saved
Yes.
him is Roger. The one who saved him is Alice.
Alice.
Okay. Now the second question, it's asking what happened at the same beach 9 years later? What happened? At the same beach, what happened after 9 years?
Roger saved a man
saved a
from
man from drowning.
And who was the man he saved?
Roger saved
Alice.
Alice's
Alice
husband.
has husband.
Exactly.
Alice's husband.
So Roger saved Alice's husband, right?
Yes.
So the man who was drowning was Alice's husband.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Now, the third question, question number 3, what do the stories about people called Hugh Williams have in common? So what's the thing in common between all the people called Hugh Williams? What's the thing in common?
Mm.
From story number 2, of course. Do you know
All
what
of
it
them
means?
survivor. يعني,
Exactly. All of them were survivors.
Survivor.
Survivors of what? Or survivors from what?
A boat sank.
Yes, they're all survivors from sinking boats or sinking
Yeah.
ships, right?
Yes.
So it means they're all survivors of drowning. All of them survived drowning,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And all of them was the same name.
All of them had the same name, Hugh Williams. So this is the thing in common. So what does it mean when we say to have something in common? What does it mean? Have something in common.
Have in common. يعني with the same story or
It means that you have similar things.
similar.
So for example, if I have 3 black pencils and Nairuz has 3 black pencils, so if someone asks what's the thing in common, we can say we both have 3 black pencils. It means we have the same thing.
Yeah.
So in Arabic, what does it mean when we say in common, to have something?
شائع.
أو الكل عندهم نفس
لو بروحها common من غير in، لو بروحها معناها شائع، صح؟
صدفة.
If we say, for example, it's common, okay, so it's common
تشابه.
To have hot summers in Libya. This is common. This is normal.
معتاد
This is,
أو الشائع يعني.
yeah, this is usual. This is usual. This is normal. This is common. But in common is a bit different. So, for example, in this story, and story number 2, in coincidence number 2, what do the stories about people called you have in common? What they have in common is الشيء المشترك بيناتهم, that all of them were survivors. You get the idea? هذا الشيء المشترك بيناتهم حسب القصة يعني.
Yes.
All of them survived. None of them died. Do you get the idea? هذا الشيء المشترك. So in common معناها الأشياء المشتركة. Common من غير in معناها شائعة. So there's a bit of a difference. All right, very nice. Now, number 4, did the two survivors in 1940 know each other? Did they know each other, the two survivors? First of all, who were the two survivors in 1940? Who were they?
Williams, يعني man and his uncle.
Correct. So, of course, they know each other, right?
They know, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's a man and his uncle.
And then his uncle, yeah.
So they know each other. And do they have something in common?
The same name.
They have the same name. The man and his uncle both are called, or were called, Hugh Williams. All right, okay. So let's move to the last coincidence, the last story, the one about King Umberto. So here we have this Italian king, King Umberto I, and the restaurant owner. What did they have in common? Find at least 4 things. All right, so let's go to the story. Let's find 4 things in common. يعني حنبحث على 4 أشياء مشتركة between King Umberto I and the restaurant owner. We need to find 4 things. So
they
let's
born
start.
on the same day.
Correct. This is the first thing. They were born on the same day. هذا أول مصادفة. أول شيء مشترك يعني. They were both born on the same day. What else?
The same town.
They both.
Also the same town. So we have 2 coincidences. What's the third coincidence? Or
both
the
of
third
them
thing in
have the same wife names.
Yes, they both had wives called Margarita. Correct? This is number 3. What else?
Umberto became king in the same day with the restaurant owner opened his restaurant.
Yeah, so Umberto became king on the same day that the restaurant owner opened his restaurant. That's correct. What's the 5th? We found 4. وفي أكتر.
They died in the same day also.
Yes. It doesn't say that they died on the same day, but they died in the same way.
Yes, shot, yes.
Yeah, because the restaurant owner died in a shooting accident. And King Umberto also was killed by being shot. Someone shot him.
Yes, by the same way.
So this is the 5th coincidence. And there's a 6th coincidence. They looked the same. A 6th thing in common, their appearance.
Look alike.
They looked alike, right? So anyways, we found 4. The question only wants 4. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about these coincidences, these 3 coincidences. Which one do you think is the most surprising? The drowning story, the one about Roger and Alice, or the Hugh Williams
the king
story?
And restaurant owner.
Suhaib, okay. So Suhaib, tell us, why do you think the 3rd story, the one about the king and the restaurant owner, is very surprising, in your opinion? Why?
Many of things are common.
They have a lot of things in common, right? More than one thing in common. Okay, I agree. I think you're right. And Neiruz, why do you think the second story is the most surprising for you?
Because all of them with the same name in the same place, the boat sank or is sinking.
Yeah, and also, did you check the dates?
Yes,
They're
also the date.
very different dates, right?
Mm.
So look at
But
the first
5th December,
1660.
Yes.
1765. So there is 167 years difference, right?
Mm.
And then 1820, and then 1940. Do you see how different the dates are?
But the same name.
But the same name. And the person is always, Hugh Williams always survives.
Yes.
Also, a very interesting story, I think. I agree.
Yeah.
Any other opinions? What do you think, Najat? Najat is asleep today, I think. Najat, are you there? No, she's sleeping. Okay, what about you, Hannah? Which story is the most surprising for you?
Surprise. First.
The first one you think is surprising?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you think the first one is surprising? In your opinion?
Because exciting.
You mean that the boy saved Alice's husband?
Yes.
9 years later? Okay. So these are just three very interesting stories which have lots of coincidences. Now we're going to talk a little bit about adjectives. So we have a little bit of vocabulary here. It says, work in pairs try to match the adjectives in bold in the article to the definitions A to E. Okay, so we have 5 definitions. We have very surprising, you don't expect it to happen, unlucky or having a bad result, very difficult to believe, very unusual. So in the article, if you check the article, we have some bold words. Can you see the bold words? We have strange, unexpected, incredible,
Yes.
unbelievable. So we want to match these words with the definitions. The first one is already answered. It's amazing. So something very surprising, you can say it's amazing, right? What about we want a word for something you don't expect to happen? Which word talks about something you don't expect to happen?
Unexpected.
Right? Maybe unexpected, right? So something you don't expect to happen, you can say that it's
unexpected.
Unexpected. Okay, what about we want a word which has the meaning of unlucky or having a bad result? Let's check together. Which word do you think means unlucky or having a bad result? What do you think, Rashid? Let's check the words together. So we have unexpected, incredible, unbelievable, extraordinary, amazing, unfortunate. Which one do you think has the meaning of something unlucky or having a bad result, Rashid? What do you think? Which word? What do you think, Suhail? A word which means an adjective which means unlucky or having a bad result. Which word? Okay, I have an idea. Let's put them all together so they're easier to see.
Unfortunate.
You think unfortunate, Nairouz?
Yes.
Okay, maybe.
Yes.
Suhaib, do you agree? Do you think it's unfortunate?
Yes.
Okay, so no need to write all of them. So maybe that's correct. Unfortunate, it means unfortunate. It means unlucky or having a bad result. All right, now we want two words. We need two adjectives which have the meaning of very difficult to believe, something that's difficult to believe. Let's take a look.
Incredible.
Incredible. Okay, Rajid. Selma, what do you think? Unbelievable.
I think unbelievable.
Right? I think I agree. I think these two are correct. So if you want to talk about something very difficult to believe, you can say incredible, or you can say unbelievable. Right? They both have the same meaning. Incredible, unbelievable is the same. Right? Now we need two words which mean something very unusual. Which words? Strange.
Yeah.
And what's the other word, Sam? What do you think? Who can find another word which has the meaning of strange?
Extraordinary.
Right. So we can say strange or extraordinary, right?
Or extraordinary.
Yes. So let's write it strange. And we also have extraordinary.
Correct.
All right. So here, when you use these adjectives, you don't have to use very, right? So if you say incredible, you cannot say very incredible. You don't need very anymore, right? Or if you want to say strange, you don't need to say very. You can say
strange.
You can say very strange. It's okay, but you don't have to. The same thing with extraordinary. So some of them you can.
Strange.
It's strange. It's a very strange situation. You can say very strange, but you cannot say very extraordinary. All right. So.
دكتور ممكن توضحها بالعربي؟
أي واحدة منهم؟
هم ما فهمتمش أنا.
Okay. So هادو كلهم هنا يعتبروا صفات. All of them are adjectives. تمام. لكن كل واحدة فيهم أعطيك التعريف متاعها أو وصف للadjective هذا نفسه. For example, here, let's start with the first group. Very surprising. Okay. So what does surprising mean, Hannah, when we say surprising, something surprising? What does it mean?
مفاجأة.
Okay. مفاجأة لو تقولي surprise لوحدها هيك بروحها surprise هذه مفاجأة surprise. But if you say surprising,
تفاجأت.
what does it mean? Something very surprising.
مفاجأة.
مفاجئ. So يعني تعتبر صفة surprising. Do you get the idea?
Yes.
يعني surprising ما هياش زي surprise noun الاسم. لكن surprising هي الصفة شيء يسبب التفاجؤ أو يسبب الذهول. Do you get the idea?
Yes.
So,
يعني فعل هذه verb.
صفة تعتبر مش فعل. لكن تقدر تستعملها كفعل. You can say my son surprised me. مثلا with a birthday party. مثلا ابني فاجأني بحفلة عيد ميلاد. My son surprised me. يمشي الحال. So if you use the word amazing, it has the meaning of very surprising. يعني تسبب الدهشة. So if you, for example, if you go to another country and maybe your friend asks you, ممكن صديقتك أو قريبتك تسألك, how was your trip to Egypt مثلا, you can say it was amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah.
فهنا شنو القصد يا هناء لو قلنا it was amazing مثلا؟ شنو تعتقدي المعنى؟ if you say it was amazing.
كأنها يقول كانت جميلة ولا مثيرة ولا شيء.
رائعة ومثيرة.
رائعة مثيرة مسببة للدهشة صح؟ هذه قصة amazing و very surprising, يعني يعتبروا مرادفات نفس المعنى. نجولي part B, you don't expect it to happen. What does expect? هنا, what does it mean expect?
Expect, I don't know.
Okay, expect يعني يتوقع, جاية من التوقع. Do you get the idea? Expect
Yes.
يعني شيء متوقع. Expected لما تقولي I expected to rain, توقع أن هي حتمطر. يعني لما تقولي I expected to rain زي كأنك قلتي I think it will rain. توقع يعني. Expectation هو توقع. Expect أتوقع أو توقع يعني جاية من التوقع. Okay? So in part B it says here you don't expect it to happen. يعني شيء لا تتوقع حدوثه. This is the meaning. نقدر بدل ما نستعمل السطر الطويل هذا كله الممل you don't expect it to happen, الكلمة واحدة هذه تعطي نفس المعنى. unexpected غير متوقع. unexpected. ولو نشوفها في القصة نفسها في سياقها it says here for example we might meet people we know in the most unexpected places. شن فهمتي من الجملة هذه هنا؟ we might meet people we know in the most unexpected places. شنو القصد؟
يعني غير متوقع إنه يجدنا. we might
يعني احتمال أو ممكن من الممكن
إنه يلتقي مع أشخاص يعرفونه.
طبعا هو بالضبط يدوي بصفة الوي يعني الكلام عام يعني على الكل حتى احنا يعني نقدر نقوله
في أماكن غير متوقعة.
بالضبط أنا ممكن نتلاقوا مع أشخاص نعرفهم في أماكن غير متوقعة. مثلا لما تسافروا مرات تلقي جارك في نفس الهوتيل أو في نفس المول. يعني الأشياء هذه تصير بكثرة. right. unexpected معناها غير متوقع. ممكن تلقي شخص تعرفيه في أماكن غير متوقعة. مثلا تلقيه في صيدلية أو في محل غذائية مثلا زميل دراسة من 10 سنين فاتت. things like this. هي هذه القصة. unexpected غير متوقع. Okay, now the third group المجموعة الثالثة unlucky or having a bad result. Do you know what it means? Unlucky, Hannah. Unlucky.
Yes.
Okay. Having a bad result أعتقد هي مفهومة, right? Having a bad result.
result شو معناها؟
result يعني ناتج شيء معين. result. Okay. So when you say unfortunate عادة حتى في الإنجليزية نستعمل فيها كadverb actor. Unfortunately. So for example, maybe you have an appointment, or maybe you need to meet. I don't know, your doctor or something, and your doctor says, "I can't meet, or we can't meet. Unfortunately, I have some work." مثلا. ولا مثلا أيام انقطاع الكهرباء لما كانت عندنا حصص. يعني نقدر نبعث لكم unfortunately we will have to delay our lesson. هنضطر لتأجيل الحصة مثلا. right. unfortunate اللي هو يعني جاية من سوء الحظ للأسف أو لسوء الحظ. هذا القصد يعني للأسف أو لسوء الحظ. unfortunately. وunfortunate يعني صيغة ثانية. unfortunately تعتبر adverb حال unfortunate تعتبر صفة. ومثلا لو تلاحظها في السياق هي هذا. However, there was one last unfortunate coincidence. فكانت مصادفة يعني غير جيدة، مصادفة سيئة الحظ، لأن الاثنين ماتوا، الاثنين انقتلوا في القصة، اللي هو سواء الملك أو صاحب المطعم. عرفتي يا هناء؟
Okay.
So because both of them died in the same way, this is not a happy coincidence. ما هياش مصادفة سعيدة يعني، مصادفة سيئة أو حزينة. Because both of them died. الاثنين ماتوا من المصادفة متاعهم. You get the idea? So this is unfortunate. Okay, نجول المجموعة الرابعة. Very difficult to believe. Do you know what believe means? Believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Very difficult?
Yeah.
تمام. فلو الشيء صعب جدا تصديقه، فنقدر نقوله incredible, unbelievable, لا يصدق، غير معقول. هذا المعنى يعني العام of incredible and unbelievable. يعني شيء صعب تصديقه. All right. And the last one, very unusual. I think you know احنا استعملنا في adverbs of frequency لو تتذكري. I usually wake up at 9 o'clock. I usually go to school. I usually drink coffee in the morning. هل تتفكري كيف استعملنا usually؟ استعملناها بكثرة. معناها usual اللي هو الشيء الشائع أو المعتاد أو هذا usual نقوله، صح ولا؟ usual. هذه عكسها unusual. غير شائع، غير معتاد، غريب. Right? So this is very unusual. شيء نادر أو غريب. هذا معنى very unusual. يعني usual وعكسها unusual. ولما نزيدوها very تصبح مازال أقوى. very unusual. فبدل ما احنا نقوله very unusual نقدر نقوله strange. يعني مرادف لها نفس المعنى. strange شيء غريب. extraordinary شيء غريب جدا. هذا القصد.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. فهذا يعني التركيز كله على موضوع الصفات اللي تم ذكرها في القصة in the story. All right. So these are some of the adjectives in the story. And this means we can go to the next question. So the next question here, number 4. Let's take a look at the question in number 4. So here we're going to listen. Do you know this actor? Do you know this? Who knows this actor? Samiha, do you know this actor? Anthony Hopkins? Who knows him? Suhaib, maybe? Do you know him?
No.
No. Rashid, do you know this actor? Okay, so nobody knows this actor. All right, so we're going to listen to a story about the actor Anthony Hopkins and the author George Pfeiffer. Okay, so what does this word mean? Actor and author. What does actor mean?
ممثل.
Okay, and author? Who knows the word author?
I think
كاتب.
Correct, writer, yes. An author. Author means writer, correct, yeah. So this is a story of two people, an actor and an author. So the actor is called Anthony Hopkins, and the author, his name is George Pfeiffer. George Pfeiffer and Anthony Hopkins, okay? So we're going to listen to an interesting story about them. But first of all, before you listen, I want you to check the questions first, okay? So we have two questions. Abdullah, can you read the first question, please? What does the first question say? Abdullah, are you there? Can you read the first question? Okay, Abdullah's not there. Okay, so Rashid, can you please read the first question?
Where did Antonio Hopkins find the book he was looking for?
Okay, so what does this mean? If he's looking, if he found the book, does this mean that the book was lost? Was the book lost?
لا.
Yes.
Yes or no, Rashid? What do you think?
No.
No? He was looking for a book. شو معناها looking for a book؟
يدور على كتاب.
هل
Try to
معناها
find it.
he's trying to find it, right? Does this mean that the book was lost?
No.
Or maybe he just didn't find it yet. Okay, so
Maybe maybe he looking for the book in shop or
correct.
library.
That's right. Exactly. So maybe he's looking for the book in, maybe he's looking for it in a library, in a bookstore, and maybe he found it, maybe not. We'll find out. Okay, and can you read the second question? Rashid, what does it say? Second question.
Why was George Peter
Pfeiffer. Okay, yes, you can continue. Why was George Pfeiffer surprised?
Surprised at the end of the story?
Okay, let's find out. Let's listen and let's find out.
20.
In the 1970s, the actor Anthony Hopkins got a part in a film called The Girl from Petrovka. The film was based on a book, also called The Girl from Petrovka, by George Pfeiffer. Hopkins wanted to read the book before filming started, so he went to London to buy a copy, but he couldn't find one in any of the bookshops he tried. While he was waiting for his train home, he saw a book on a seat near him. Amazingly, it was a copy of The Girl from Petrovka. There was nobody sitting on the seat, so Hopkins picked it up and opened it. Inside the book, there were lots of handwritten notes. Hopkins took the book home and read it. That was the first extraordinary coincidence connected to the book, but later there was another. The film company didn't start making The Girl from Petrovka until 2 years later. When they were filming in Vienna, George Pfeiffer, the author of the book, came to visit the actors. He told Hopkins that he didn't have a copy of his book because he lent his personal copy to a friend. Then the friend lost it somewhere in London. Pfeiffer was very unhappy about this because the book had lots of his personal notes in it. After Pfeiffer told Hopkins this story, Hopkins smiled and handed him the book from the station in London. "Is this your book?" he asked. Pfeiffer opened the book and he was amazed to see his own handwritten notes on the pages. It was the same book he lent his friend 2 years earlier.
So, where did Anthony find the book he was looking for? Where did he find it?
When he was sitting.
Yeah, correct. And where was he sitting? Can you remember? Who can remember where?
In a station in London. Or
Station in London.
In a train station in London? Okay, okay. And why was George Pfeiffer surprised at the end of the story? Why was he surprised? The author, of course. Why was the author?
Because he lost the copy.
Yeah, he lost his book, his copy.
Yes.
But why was he surprised? What do you think, Suhaib? Why was he surprised?
I don't know.
Okay, okay. We're going to listen again, but before we listen again, I want you to check the next group of questions. Can you see these questions? These sentences?
Because already he found this copy.
Who found it?
George Pfeiffer.
Did George
Because he
Pfeiffer?
already
Who found the book? Was it George or was it Anthony?
Anthony.
Okay, but why was George surprised at the end of the story?
Because it's own book, I think.
Because it's his book?
Maybe because his friend lost the book and his another friend found it after 2 years.
Very good. I think you're 90% right. So who lost the book? Was it Anthony or was it George or was it another friend?
Another friend.
Okay.
Another friend.
And who did George give the book to in the beginning? Did George give the book to Anthony or to another friend?
Another friend.
Okay. And who found the book? Was it the other friend who lost it or was it Anthony?
Anthony.
Another friend lost it, I think.
Okay. And what did Anthony do when he found the book?
He took the book.
To who? Okay, he did take the book, you're right. But what happened after he took the book?
He read it.
Correct. He read it and
found notes
correct
inside the book.
Yeah, you're right. He also found notes inside the book. Whose notes were they? Who wrote the notes? Who?
George.
Maybe George
Correct.
Pfeiffer's friend. Or George. Or George.
Maybe George Pfeiffer's friend, or maybe George.
Or maybe George, yeah.
Okay, and after Anthony found the notes, what did he do? Okay.
Sorry, what?
And
Well, after Anthony found the notes, what did he do?
Smiling.
No, I didn't concentrate on it.
What do you think, Rashid? What did he do?
he gave it after 2 years.
After 2 years, he gave it back to George.
Handed him the book.
Maybe he handed him the book, maybe. Okay. Okay. Now, before we listen again, I want you to check these things or these events, these actions or parts or events or whatever that happened. I want you to put them in the correct order, okay? So number one, A is number one. So the first thing that happened in the story is Anthony Hopkins got a part in a film called The Girl from Petrovka. This is the name of the film. Okay, and this is the first thing that happened in the story. What's the second thing that happened?
E.
Okay, so Rashid, do you think it's E? Let's write E. Okay, what's number three, the third thing that happened in the story? What do you think is the next thing?
He went to Vienna to make the film.
I think that's not number three.
F.
I think F.
Okay, but before that, there's something that happened before that.
G.
Maybe he couldn't find the book, right? Okay, what else?
He went to station.
Okay.
He found a copy on the book.
Okay.
He makes what you
He went to Vienna.
Okay, but before he went to Vienna.
The book was Pfeffer's.
Okay, so maybe the book was Pfeiffer's copy.
He went to Vienna.
Okay, so he went to Vienna to make the film.
And he met George Pfeffer.
Maybe. Okay, let's check. Let's see if this information is correct, if it's in the right order or not. Let's listen to the story again.
Track 20.
In the 1970s, the actor Anthony Hopkins got a part in a film called The Girl from Petrovka. The film was based on a book, also called The Girl from Petrovka, by George Pfeiffer. Hopkins wanted to read the book before filming started, so he went to London to buy a copy, but he couldn't find one in any of the bookshops he tried. While he was waiting for his train home, he saw a book on a seat near him. Amazingly, it was a copy of The Girl from Petrovka. There was nobody sitting on the seat, so Hopkins picked it up and opened it. Inside the book, there were lots of handwritten notes. Hopkins took the book home and read it. That was the first extraordinary coincidence connected to the book, but later there was another. The film company didn't start making The Girl from Petrovka until 2 years later. When they were filming in Vienna, George Pfeiffer, the author of the book, came to visit the actors. He told Hopkins that he didn't have a copy of his book because he lent his personal copy to a friend. Then the friend lost it somewhere in London. Pfeiffer was very unhappy about this because the book had lots of his personal notes in it. After Pfeiffer told Hopkins this story, Hopkins smiled and handed him the book from the station in London. "Is this your book?" he asked. Pfeiffer opened the book and he was amazed to see his own handwritten notes on the pages. It was the same book he lent his friend 2 years earlier.
What do you think?
Yes, true.
Is it the correct order? Your answers?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So this is what happened. This means Anthony found the
notes.
Found the notes, and he found the author's copy. He found that the same copy that George lost when he gave it to another friend. Right?
Yes.
So why was George Pfeiffer surprised at the end of the story? Why was he surprised? What happened that surprised him at the end of the story? What do you think? What do you think, Rashid?
I think, I said in the first.
That he was surprised that Anthony gave him his book back.
Yes.
That's correct. Yeah. So again, very quickly, where did Anthony find the book? He found it on the seat.
On the seat.
Yeah, in the train station. And why was George surprised? Because he got his book back. The book he lost 2 years ago, and he gave it to a friend. Anthony brought it back to him. He gave it to him. All right? So this was the story of Anthony and George. Okay, so here in exercise number 5, we have more weak forms, but this time we're not going to talk about only was and were. We also have weak forms of other prepositions. So we have and, to, of, and from. Okay, so we're going to listen to the differences between the strong and the weak form of these words. And I want you to pay attention to this sound, the schwa sound. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to this sound. So let me play the CD, and I want you to see the differences between the two forms, the strong and the weak. Let's listen.
And, to, of, was, were, from.
Okay, let's listen one more time to the difference.
Track 21.
And, to, of, was, were, from.
Okay, now let me take you very quickly to the script. I want you to take a look at how we use these weak forms in the story of Anthony and George. So I want you here to follow. Let me show you. Okay, can you see them here in track 20? Can you see this? Everyone?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you see the pink words?
Pink, yes.
So the pink ones, are they strong or are they weak? What do you think?
Weak.
Correct. And
Weak.
yeah, all of them are weak. So here, I want you to only focus on the weak forms. So in this exercise, we only have weak forms, okay? So let's listen one more time to the story of Anthony and George. And I want you to listen how they say these words, okay? So they don't say was, they will say was. They don't say from, they will say from. And they don't say to, they will say ta. So it will be Hopkins wanted to read. Wanted to read. So it's a bit like And the same thing with for. It's not for, it's for. Waiting for his train. For his train. And the same thing with of. It's not of, it's of. Of. It sounds a bit funny, it sounds strange, but in the middle, when you listen to it in the middle of the sentence, it sounds natural, okay? It will sound normal. So let me play it to you, and I want you to pay attention to the pink words, okay? So let's listen.
2.
Hi, are you Jackie?
Yes. Hello. You must be Damon.
Sorry, not the correct one. Track 20, this one. Okay.
In the 1970s, the actor Anthony Hopkins got a part in a film called The Girl from Petrovka. The film was based on a book, also called The Girl from Petrovka, by George Pfeiffer. Hopkins wanted to read the book before filming started, so he went to London to buy a copy, but he couldn't find one in any of the bookshops he tried. While he was waiting for his train home, he saw a book on a seat near him. Amazingly, it was a copy of The Girl from Petrovka. There was nobody sitting on the seat, so Hopkins picked it up and opened it.
Inside the book, there were lots of handwritten notes. Hopkins took the book home and read it. That was the first extraordinary coincidence connected to the book, but later there was another. The film company didn't start making The Girl from Petrovka until 2 years later. When they were filming in Vienna, George Pfeiffer, the author of the book, came to visit the actors. He told Hopkins that he didn't have a copy of his book because he lent his personal copy to a friend. Then the friend lost it somewhere in London. Pfeiffer was very unhappy about this because the book had lots of his personal notes in it. After Pfeiffer told Hopkins this story, Hopkins smiled and handed him the book from the station in London. "Is this your book?" he asked. Pfeiffer opened the book and he was amazed to see his own handwritten notes on the pages. It was the same book he lent his friend 2 years earlier.
Okay. Can you see in the story they used a lot of weak forms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this means weak forms are very common in everyday language. They use them a lot. And actually they use weak forms, they use them more than strong forms. So this means we usually use strong forms only in short answers or when we want to focus on something. But normally natives normally use, they don't say and, they say un. They don't say to, they say ta. Instead of, instead of was, instead of were, instead of from. So slightly different. All right, now, here we're going to talk about something maybe a bit more important. We're going to talk about while, when, until, so, and because, okay? So here we're going to learn when do we use so, when do we use while, when do we use until, when, and because, okay? So all of these, they come from a family, and this family is called connecting words. So these words are very important because they're used to connect sentences, okay? So here I want you to read the first sentence. So let's start with Suhaib. Can you read the first sentence, please? Number 1 here. Can you read it for us? What does it say, number 1?
Hopkins wanted to read the book, so he wanted to London to buy a cup.
Okay, can you say it again? So.
Hopkins wanted to read the book, so he wanted to London to buy a cup.
Is it want or went?
Went.
He went to London. Okay, very nice. Good. Number 2, Hannah, can you read number 2?
While he was waiting for his train home, he saw a book on a seat near him.
Okay, he saw a book on a seat near him. Okay. The third one, number 3 here. Salma, can you read number 3, please?
Okay. They didn't start making the film until 2 years later.
Okay. And the last one, Samiha, can you read the last one? Sorry, number 4.
Number 4.
Number
Okay.
4.
When they were filming in Vienna, George Pfeiffer came to visit the actors.
Okay. And Abdullah, the last one, number 5.
Okay.
Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer didn't have his personal copy of the book because a friend lost it.
Okay. All right. So from these 5 examples, we want to complete the rules here. We have 4 rules here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first rule, it says we use until to say something starts or stops at this time. So let's read example number 3 again, okay? let's read number 3 again. So, and let's explain each one. Let's check until. So it says here, until, we say it, we use it to say something starts or stops at this time. So here it is. They didn't start making the film until 2 years later. So did they make it before 2 years passed or after 2 years passed?
After.
That's it. After. So it means before the 2 years, they didn't make the film. So until, this is the point in time which after it they made the film. All right?
Up to this time.
Yeah, after this time they made it, but before it, no. Okay? So I can, if I want to talk about this lesson, I can say we study or we're going to study until 10 o'clock. Okay? So this means before 10 o'clock, we're not going to stop. But after it, we can stop. You get the idea? This is until. This is how we normally use until. Now, the second rule, let's check the second rule. It says we use something
Because.
To give reason. Very good. Yes, Abdullah. So we usually use because, right? If you want to give reason, we just say because. Right? If I ask you, why are you late? You'll say because I'm a lazy student. Or because I didn't have lunch. Or because I didn't sleep well. You can give me a reason. Very good. Okay, third rule. We use something to give the result of something.
We use so.
Right, we use so. If you check this example, it says Hopkins, the first one, Hopkins wanted to read the book, so he went to London to buy the book. This is the result. Do you get the idea? The result of the first action. What's the first action? He wanted to read the book. This is the first part or the first thing. So what did he do? He wanted to read the book, so he went to London. Do you get the idea?
Yes.
What's the difference between so and because? This is an extra question. Okay, we'll come to it later, but let's finish this first. It says we can use something and something for things that happen at the same time.
After so making action.
Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that, but first let's complete this. So we use what and what, Suhaib?
While and when.
While and when.
Right. While and when. طبعا هذا قريناهم في ال past continuous صح ولا؟ لأن اتفقنا احنا في ال past continuous usually we use it with the past simple for things that happened at the same time. So
yes, there is tip.
Yeah. Here's the tip. This is a very important tip. Can you read it, please, Neiruz? What does the tip say?
Okay. When a long acting and a short action happen at the same time, we can't use while with the past simple. He was waiting for his train home while he saw a book on the seat near him.
Yeah, this is wrong, of course. You can't do that. It's incorrect.
Yes.
So if you want to use while, you have to use it
while before he was waiting.
Exactly. Yeah. Use it for the longer action.
Yes.
So we can't say while he saw. It's not correct. But while he was waiting, that's okay. You can say while he was waiting. That's fine.
That's my wrong. That's why I saved this notes.
Yeah, that's good because these things, yes. You know, this is why making
when you're
mistakes,
making wrongs or making mistakes. Yes.
Exactly. This is why making mistakes is the best way to learn, because yes, the more mistakes you make, you can, you know, just write a note. So, okay, I know how to use this. So yes, after you know about it, you won't do it again. You won't make the same mistake. Okay, so now back to my extra question. Whoever can answer this. But let's see if there's an exercise. Okay, let's do the exercise first. خلوا the extra question. خلوا بعد the exercise. let's do this exercise first, okay? So number 7, choose the correct words. Okay, so let's divide this. All right, so Rashid, you can do number 1.
The 4-year-old boy didn't drown because Alice saved him.
You want to use because?
Yes.
Okay, all right, very nice. Okay, number 2. Abdullah, you can do number 2.
Okay. While Roger was walking along the beach, he saw someone in trouble in the sea.
All right, very nice. Okay, Samiha, can you do number 3? Samiha is not there. Okay, Sohaib, you can do number 3.
Hug Williams didn't drown until the boat sank. When the boat sank.
Right. Did he drown or not? Hugh Williams.
No.
Okay, good. صح. ما غرقش. Okay, let's see. Neyrouz. Can you do number 4, please?
Okay. King Umberto, I did.
No, here this one is the first.
Umberto I or لا؟
لا I معناها the first الأول. معادلة الملوك وكذا دي مديرونهم في الرتبة.
Yes, الملك الأول الثاني. Okay. King Umberto died because someone shot him.
Okay. Selma, can you do number 5?
Okay. While the king and the restaurant owner were talking, they discovered some amazing
coincidences.
Okay.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Hannah, are you there, Hannah?
Yes.
Okay. Can you do number 6?
Antonio Hopkins didn't know George Pfeiffer's book, so he wanted to buy a copy.
Correct. So that's correct. And number 7. Let's find Samiha. Are you back? Can you hear us, Samiha? Maybe she's not back, Samiha. Let's find someone else. Okay, Rashid, you can do number 7.
Hopkins didn't have a copy of the book until he found one at the station.
Right, until. Okay, very good. Okay, now back to my question. So my question was, what's the difference between so and because? Is there a relationship?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, what's the difference between so and because? Let me give you an example. Here's the question.
After because it is a reason.
Okay.
To the first action, but after so it's another action. I think that I don't know. Of the
Samiha, what do you think?
Sentences. I think because give the reason after the can't explain.
Okay, I'll show you an example.
After because.
Okay.
but so it's opposite, I think. Did you hear me, Doctor?
Sorry, can you repeat it again, please?
Okay. I think because.
What do you think? What about because?
I think because give us the reason after because.
Okay, and
But
so
opposite. It's before, I think.
Okay, can you answer these two examples, Samiha?
Where is that?
Here in red.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I was late, so I apologized. I apologized because I was late.
Okay, who agrees? Who thinks Samiha's answer is correct?
Yes, I agree with her.
So I was late, so I apologized, and I apologized because I was late. So in reality, they're a bit like opposites, right? If you think of them.
Yes.
So shows the result of the first action. Because you were late, you apologized. All right. And you were late, so you apologized. You get the idea? So they're a bit like opposites. So always remember so and because they're like opposites. All right. So it's for results, because is for reasons. But if you want a reason, we always use a why question. If you want a reason, you'll get a why. And usually if you want so, it's usually what happened after that. But usually there's no question there's no specific question. Yeah, there isn't a specific question. But this is the overall idea. All right?
Yes.
Actually, this lesson, this part, it's very important, by the way, connecting words. They're very important, especially in writing. In IELTS, for example, and
it's important.
Yeah, you need to know. You need to know how to connect words in a good way. Of course, so and when, and these are simple ways, but they're good. They're a good start. So this means next time we can do part number 8. We can talk about a story, an interesting story that happened to us. So maybe some of you can share with us an interesting story, or maybe a coincidence. And you can talk about the people in the story, so yourself, maybe your friends, your neighbors, your family, whatever, where it happened, when it happened, what happened first, what are the main events or the main actions in the story, what happened at the end. So you could talk about this. And after that, we'll talk about finding things in common. We'll talk a little bit about internet dating. So it's kind of interesting. We see some of the similarities, some of the differences in personality. We try to find good matches for some of the people we have in the story. Here we have Jackie. She's going to meet 2 guys. She's going to meet Damon and Kevin. And we'll try to see who's the better match for Jackie. And of course, we will base this, or we will decide this depending on the things in common. Right? So if 2 people have a lot of things in common, this means they're a good match to become maybe husband and wife, or to become friends. But if they don't have a lot in common, this means it's very hard to be friends or lovers or whatever. Okay? So we'll talk about this in our next lesson. That's all for tonight. Thank you for your time. And
Thank you for your doctor.
On Tuesday.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Goodbye.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're
Goodbye.
welcome. Bye-bye. Good night.